So, welcome everybody. Thank you very much for being here and to show the project with us to the professional of New York and Miami. La Grande Bellezza, the virtual tour, is arrived to its 4th edition, and we are really glad and happy to show 8 different producers, all from all around Italy. The project is going to be more or less and really soon in presence, so maybe it's a spoiler, it's going to be one of the last virtual edition, because we are really happy to present the next edition in May that is going to be in presence. Today we are going to start with the Pietradolce Winery. First of all, I would like to remind some details about the possibility to share this virtual tasting on the social network, on your channel. So the tag is Raffaele Wines Critic, and the hashtag can be Wines Critic or LGB 2022. That stays, of course, for La Grande Bellezza 2022. We are going to start from South Italy again, because there is an expression of really interesting and nice and well-balanced white wine. We are going to be connected with Giuseppe Parlavecchio, who is one of the most interesting winemaker, I will say, in South Italy, and not only. So again, I want to underline that for me it's a big pleasure to having you today. Thank you very much for the professional connected with us. I would like to remind you, we are in same time connected with the 2 important cities. They are New York and Miami. In New York, as you can see from the screen, there is this kind of virtual tasting well led with some reference in Sofia Wine Bar, owned by Federico Cupido, who is connected also today with us. And in Miami, we arrived thanks to the small bottles that we created with a society in French, which make the recondition of the bottle in small bottle. You can feel it, the quality of the service when we are going to taste. And I hope and I wish will be the same for you. I already talked too much, so I will give the words to Giuseppe. Giuseppe, nice to see you. And happy to give you the words to tell us more about the Pietradolce.
Okay. Hello to everybody, and thank you to stay with us. I'm the winemaker, as Raffaele said, and Pietradolce is a family winery. We are located in the northern slopes of Etna. We are in Solicchiata, and I work with this family from a long time. I'm working with the 3rd generation of a whole family of growers called Faro, F-A-R-O, that in between 2005 and 2007, back to the roots of them, because they came back to the Etna in the north side, where they bought the first whole vineyards that are today our focus, from the beginning and today too, because we focus our production around pre-phylloxera vineyards that are 80, 90. Sometimes we are going to taste one of them that is 130 years old. We work with our traditional grow system, bush vines, that are located between 815 and 900 meters above the sea level. Today we have almost 25 hectares. Of them, half of them are cultivated in the traditional way and are very old vines. So finally, today we are working with the 9 different labels. Of them, 6 We make from 6 single vineyard wine. We work with Nerello Mascalese, 100%, or Caricante. We started with just one of them in 2006. 2007 was the first, where we produced only 3,000 bottles of Archineri Rosso. That is one of our crew, and was the first that represented us, because in this moment in your bottles, you have a beautiful lady. She's our volcano woman. She's Etna, because Etna for us is female, and we represent our relationship with Etna, with this lady with the smoking hair. She's wearing in Archineri a lava dress because it's red, but in the other single vineyard wines, we changed the color. And so in this moment, I think you have two very special wines. First, you are tasting two different slopes of Etna. We make our Archineri Bianco in the eastern slopes of Etna, where we met this 130 years old vineyard in 2011. It's a Caricante 100%. We produce only 4,000 bottles. You are tasting a young wine, because Caricante has a big potential aging. Is a white wine really that has a big life in bottle, and involved very well here by here. We make this wine only stainless steel. We like working in this way for this white wine. And the second one is one of our Contrada Santo Spirito. That is the last one arrived in Pietradolce, because the family bought this 80 years old vineyard in 2016. This label is an interesting label, because it's a good example about the choice from this family, because imagine that this family bought this vineyard that was abandoned, and when we arrived in this vineyard, we only found cover crops, wild cover crops all around the terraces. We start to clean these terraces, and we discovered the old vines that the family decided to keep. We planted in between the new ones, Nerello Mascalese and Caricante. And so thanks to this, we are keeping a piece of our past. This is Nerello Mascalese, 100%, that I start to make in the cellar in a concrete tank, where we macerate, we ferment, and we macerate for, this depends, 14, 16 days. And we moved to our French oak tonneau, 700 liters barrels, used and reused at different times. And we come back to the concrete for 1-2 months before the bottling. So I don't want to say something about the wines. You can feel all the different characteristics, but I would like to say that for us, you have a piece of Etna in this wine. You have very important expression from experienced vines, from 80 or 100 years old vines that are more experienced than us. And so we try to put a piece of our land in each crew, in each bottle we make.
Absolutely agree, Giuseppe. And I think you were really focused and precise on what we needed to hear about this project.
I hope, with my Etna English, you know.
Yeah, it's Etna in English, but no, absolutely. The Archineri White, the 2021, I felt is one of the concentrated vintage, really interesting. Sometimes we are scared a little bit from somewhere for the climate really, really hard. Sometimes was maybe too much dry. But I would like to underline and remember that in Italy, we arrived inside with the grapes, so and the different expression of terroir with all concentrated analytics value. So you had high perception of acidity that was important, and absolutely sometimes also some level of alcohol a little bit higher than usual. This is absolutely not the case. So it's about the elegance of the project. You can feel it, the balance project in mouth. And as you say, maybe the Carricante, it's going to show really well with only still, because I think it's a complete wine. It's rich, its beauty is just really deep and absolutely precise, as is the style of the producers in maybe the last 10 years or even more. So thank you very much for the Archinelli 2021 that, as you said, absolutely is young. In the time you will see is going to change and to open up a little bit more. And then the Nerello Mascalese, this kind of grapes that we didn't know too much about that since the late 90s, but now is so fashion and so modern for the beauty drinkability that brings with him. I can see, you know, our professional tasting and having a glass of different references that we are showing. And in meantime, Giuseppe, you know, they are going to still taste the wines during the lunch in the next hours. So I want to thank you very much for being here and to stay with us showing the project.
Okay, thank you.
See you soon in Etna.
Ciao.
Ciao. The next project is in Piedmont and absolutely in the most important area that we have in Piedmont. We are talking about Barolo area. The Bomasso family has been producing the wines. Yes, thank you, Leo. It has been producing the wine since after the Second World War. We are talking an history of the first years of the 15. So we are connected with Ezio today that can tell us more about, you know, the complexity of the winery, which is well led in the ancient message of the farm. So there is absolutely, yes, grapes and viticulture, but there is much more, because in their philosophy there is also the possibility to cultivate fields, hazelnuts, and other different plants. Ezio, good morning for our professional, good evening for you in Connected in Italy, and feel you free to tell us more of the project and the two wines we are going to taste, if you can, in 10 minutes, so we can keep the schedule.
Okay, good morning. My name is Eliana. I'm a friend. I'm Ezio's friend, just here to help in translation and presentation of
Good morning, Diana.
Boasso farm. So, as you already said, Boasso is a very ancient company, winery, was born about during the 50s, and this is the fifth generation of the winery. They own nowadays 7 hectares of vineyards and producing 30,000 bottles per year, divided in well, the classical red wines, so Dolcetto, Barbera, Nebbiolo, and 4 levels of Barolo wine. Then they also produce some white wines, such as Anise and a lovely Moscato. I prefer from all of them. So they started in the middle of 80s. The farm starts to make wine with a part of the grapes, which until then were sold directly to winemakers. And the rural house is situated in Gabuti area of Serralunga, which is one of the geographical mentioned of particularly well known we have in our area. So in the middle of the omonimo geographical mention of Barolo wine. In 2010, the farm they created a farmhouse called I Grappoli, which is where you can stay. It's a sort of a bed and breakfast, and the same level we find in on the red wines. So Boasso family is has a particular attention, a great attention to the vineyard production, following more and more the environmental and nature-friendly management criteria. The system employed in is the classical bouillon and the green processing of the raw and totally handmade. So the wines you are now tasting today are, first of all, the Grande, which is the last was born in Boasso's winery. The vineyard is here in Serralunga. After the harvest is it makes a fermentation of 15 days on the skins, and then 6 months it rests for 6 months in big Slavonian oak barrels, and it is close to the Margheria vineyard, so it is also particularly well tasting and well smellful. Margheria is a vineyard of about 3,500 meters on a west position, so very, very, very warm. For this reason, it is the last who is being harvesting each year. After the harvest is it stays for 15 days, make a maceration of 50 days on the skins, which means the first 15 as a normal maceration, the other 35 remaining on submerged head. Then it stays for 36 months in Slavonian oak barrels of 20 hectoliters. And together with Gavuti Barolo, it is one of the best Barolo wine Boasso is producing. And very well sold also in our area, very much appreciated from tourists and buyers from really all over the world, more and more.
Thank you very much, Diana. I think it was a great exposition to give us an idea of the project, where we are, and how the producers wants to work in these two different references of wines. So the Nebbiolo, to be honest, from my small bottle, is not perfect one. Just it's a kind of thin wine that maybe is a little bit more fragile. But I'm sure we have in Sofia Wine Bar, you know, they can taste from a big bottle, and it's gonna be much better, because we used to taste really, really young some months ago, and we enjoyed for the freshness of the fruits. So we are agree that maybe they can feel something more than us in this moment. About the Margheria 2018, I should just say that actually it's one of my favorite MGA in Barolo. I really love Margheria, such as Monvigliero or Mosconi, what is another incredible MGA. They are completely different, absolutely. We don't like just, you know, finesse, because from Mosconi, you don't look for finesse, but you can find much more opulent and really deep character. But Margheria actually, for me, give the complexity thanks to the good tension in the different vintages, but also the really polyedric profile. There is a lots of flowers combined with fruits, combined with spices, so it's always lovely. In this case, the 2018, it's showing already well, but for sure it will keep grow in the bottle. Leo, just a question: how many glasses you can pour together?
Oh, you said Leo, but you wanted to talk to Ezio.
No, not really. I was just asking to Leonardo Ricciardella in Sofia Wine Bar to have an idea if they can have the two glasses together. I don't know if you can film. Yeah, okay. So they go with the two glasses together. They have the Nebbiolo Langhe 2020 and 18. It's interesting also talking about the two vintages, as you can imagine, they are more classic one, more Mediterranean one, and it's really nice to having both side by side. Leonardo, do you have any question on the project? It's something new for us. We never tasted before together, Boasso. If you have any question, you can type us in chat, or just you can ask me even later. Okay, so thank you very much, Diana. Thank you, Ezio. It was a pleasure for us to having you today. And the promise will be maybe to come in to visit in winery if you have a pleasure as soon as possible.
Yeah, we wait for you, and you will be we will be very proud to welcome you by us, and I'm sure you will enjoy your trip to Saralunga.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
You want to leave, and if we have more questions, I will be happy to send it to you back by email or something, giving absolutely more details also on the tasting and all our references that they are tasting and our professional. Thank you once again.
Thank you very much.
The next producers, we are going now moving from South Italy in Sicily. Then we went up in Piedmont. Now we are going to close our virtual tasting all in Tuscany. Tuscany will say maybe is loving our project and our way to make the communication outside Italy and with the professional. So the next producer is Piani Rossi, and there is Stefano Cincini connected with us. That I would say maybe Stefano is a big friend, because I met him first time in Hong Kong, really far away from Italy, and for me it was like, you know, a friendly face that I wanted to meet and to more understand about his project and the philosophy that there is behind the Piani Rossi project.
Thank you, Raffaele. Good afternoon to everybody. It's a great pleasure meeting you again. Thank you for inviting me. And my project is let me say, is a dream that I cultivated along my life, starting from the university, because I did university in Siena, and there I get familiar with the wine. I get familiar with the standard wine because I didn't have so much money to buy a bottle, but I enjoy a lot. So the dream was one day I have to produce a wine like this. I hope my wines is much better than what I bought at the time, because it was really not great wines. So coming to the present, I set up this winery almost 20 years ago. The location is between South Montalcino and the sea, is the south part of Maremma in Tuscany. We have a different line of wines, different grapes. We planted some grapes a little bit strange for Tuscany. The most important one is Montepulciano Abruzzo. I brought this grape from my original country area in Italy. I born in the eastern part of Italy, where the Montepulciano is very well known, the most important grape cultivated there. Then we planted this, of course, Sangiovese, Alicante, and Petit Verdot and Cabernet Sauvignon. We have 14 hectares, and we have a different kind of wine. Today, you are going to test our two Super Tuscans. Our Super Tuscan, one is based on Italian grapes. The name is Solus, which is a Latin word, because this area was very, very well known for wine during the Roman Empire. And Solus means unique, original, special. Why this name? Not because we want to sound arrogant, but because the blend is really unique in Tuscany. We have 45% Montepulciano, 45% Sangiovese, and 10% Alicante. Alicante, which is originally from Spain, but if you talk with the farmer in Maremma area, they think the Alicante is an Italian grape. After the maceration in the skins, we use to take the wine, to put the wine inside the tonneau, French oak tonneau, 500 liters. We use first passage, second passage tonneau, the toasted at the medium level. This is what we arrive for after many years of doing wine. The beginning we used even the barrel, the smaller barrel, 250 liters. But at the end of the day, we have already a great structure of the wine. You're going to test you can feel from the wine the power of the soil and the power of the sun. The area is quite tough because we have rain till Easter season, and then the temperature starts to go up and continue to be very, very strong till the harvest. We work a lot on the vineyard. We work a lot on the green. We protect our fruit, keeping the leaves in a proper position in order to protect the fruit, and keeping the freshness and the fruity flavors of the wines. And Solus 2018 is the first year then when our new enologist, which is Julien Viau, the right hand of Mr. Michel Laurent, that joined our company, and you can appreciate in comparison with 2016 Piani Rossi, which is made by the other enologists, very important, Carlo Ferrini. You can understand the different way we are going to have in the future in our wines. The other Super Tuscan Piani Rossi, which is the name of the winery, is made with Petit Verdot and Cabernet Sauvignon and Montepulciano d'Abruzzo. Is more or less one third, but it depends on the season. Of course, the percentage are not written on the stone, but we try to adjust our wine based on the season and not on the market. We want to express our terroir. I think both of them are giving this kind of expression. We keep on the tonneau, again, French tonneau, 500 liters for 18 months. Solus is in the tonneau for 12 months. And then we keep almost 1 year and a half, 2 years in the bottle before marketing the wine. This
Stefano, sorry, just two questions for you. One, if you can repeat us again how many hectares of vineyards are? 14?
14.
14, okay.
Yes.
And the other one was actually where do you want to arrive with this wine? So what do you like of the identity of this wine? You know, sometimes Montecucco is a beautiful area, but I think still not really expresses a lot, just because maybe they want to emulate a little bit some big names really close by. without to say, you know, the denomination close, but I think everybody knows. So maybe what is your vision of Montecucco in the next 10 years?
So my vision is a little bit different than the others, because I agree with you. Since the beginning, I heard too much the competition with our neighborhood, which is so far away from us, and we cannot compete with them. And even if we have the same quality, we do not have the same tradition. It's really basic, this concept. What I try to do is, because of the Montepulciano Abruzzo, is giving to the Montecucco let me say a different point of view, expressing the wine that they have more muscle in any case. But I want to keep the muscle of the wines, but in the meantime giving them elegance. With Julian, we're working a lot in the vineyard because we play our game there, because the climate is so strong. It's sometimes so difficult. If you think that the 2017 we had a very dry season, it was a disaster. But our Rosso di Montecucco Sidus, which is not today in degustation, but is another wine we produced there. It was really great, getting a lot of recognition, not by me, because I produce it is like a child. Always your son is the best of the best, but it was recognized from everybody outside the winery. So this is what we want to do: keeping the muscle, keeping the character, the strong character, giving them a uniqueness, but based on the terroir, on the area where we are.
Thank you very much, Stefano. I think if there are more questions for you, the tasting room in Sofia Wine Bar will write me down. We have also an open chat on the small part of the desktop. And, you know, just I want to say they will taste the wines during all the lunch. So in the next hour also. And they are going to better understand the differences between, you know, Solus and absolutely the Piani Rossi 2016. What you were saying is absolutely interesting. At one point, you found it that one of the greatest winemaker in Italy and wine consultant maybe is going to in another direction of what you thought about your territory, because you want agility, dynamicity, and this kind of wine really, really drinkable since the first moment.
Yes, so my principle is two people during the dinner they should drink one bottle of wine without having any problem. So this is what okay.
Good philosophy in these years. Thank you very much, Stefano, for
cheers
being
to everybody. Cheers.
Cheers. And nice to see you here again. I will share everything with you as soon as possible.
Thank you.
Next in line is Giuseppe. He's already connected with us. Giuseppe Luisi, for me, is first time I met you in a virtual way, but I hope to meet you soon in person. It's going to represent Cortonesi. Cortonesi, it means we are moving now into Montalcino area. So after Montecucco, we are going close what is maybe one of the most knowledgeable wines for US market, and Cortonesi in US is absolutely well known. So Giuseppe, can you tell us more about, you know, the philosophy of what is going to happen in the next years? Today we are going to taste two different wines, but if you can in I don't know, a few minutes also give us your reading of the different vintages, we will be really happy. So first of all, we are going to taste the 2017 Brunello, and then there is the beautiful Riserva 2016 La Mannella.
Yes. Buonasera, Raffaele. It's a pleasure to meet you. And buonasera to everybody on at Sofia Wine Bar and on the internet. I see some friends that I know. Hello, buonasera. And to the new friends, hopefully after today, we will have a little bit more of a better knowledge of Cortonese and Montalcino. Montalcino is a town in southern Tuscany. We're just in the border between Siena and the border of also Lazio, so Tuscany and Lazio, sorry. And Montalcino is, like Raffaele was saying, is probably one of the better known areas of Tuscany. Sangiovese being the most important grape that we produce in Montalcino. Not a lot of people don't know that Montalcino, before producing red wine, was actually a land of producing whites of Moscato Bianco. But back in the 1900s, from the research that we did in Montalcino, we discovered that Sangiovese was definitely the king of the grapes that can grow in this beautiful town. Montalcino is a town very unique. We are very, very close to many producers. We feel that all ships rise with the upcoming tide. We are very proud of the land in Montalcino before being proud of our own wines. And this also helps, I guess, all of us stimulate each other and try to produce better wines every year. There's a lot of passion in Montalcino. Not a lot of jealousy, but a lot of passion between producers. When defining Cortonesi, we are a family-owned winery, very old-fashioned, let's say, but with a very careful eye on the future. Like Raffaele was saying, we try to take all our findings, all of what our grandfathers taught us, and translate it into the modern wine world, and try to make these traditional wines within our estate with an eye on every year trying to better ourselves. That's why we feel that having an idea, having a close touch with what's going on in the modern wine world is also very important. Today we have a few wines. We have two Brunellos, a Brunello Classico 2017 and a Brunello Riserva 2016. But before getting into detail with the wines, I'd like to give a little bit of knowledge about the winery itself. We have two plots of land in Montalcino, one in the northeast area, in the Montosoli area, for those who are familiar of the subzones of Montalcino. It's one of the highest elevations that we have in Montalcino. It's a beautiful area for producing very elegant style Brunellos. We have our podere, our winery there, which is called La Manella. And this also gives the name to this single vineyard that we have in our winery of about 9 hectares, where we produce our Brunello Riserva, our Brunello Classico, and our Rosso di Montalcino. And then we have another plot of land in the southwestern part of Montalcino, not too far away from Biondisanti, to give you an idea, which is called I Poggiarelli. It's a beautiful vineyard of only 2 hectares. This is as small as it gets, literally, in Montalcino, where we have this land surrounded completely by forest, 360 degrees, different soils. In the northeastern part, where we will be producing, where we will be tasting our Brunello Classico and our Brunello Riserva. The soils are very clay, skeleton type soils, versus I Poggiarelli, this single vineyard that we have in the southwestern part of Montalcino, which is more limestone. So there's a lot of diversity also within not only our winery, but all of Montalcino. Our Brunello Classico, which you are tasting now, is a 2017 vintage, which by the press was not the best of vintages. However, we feel that we did a lot of very good selection in the vineyards. The philosophy behind also Tommaso's winemaking process is we are not scared to leave grapes on the vines if they're not perfect. We try to work with the best raw materials that we can, and Mother Nature has already the wine ready for us. Our Tommaso's job, you like saying, is not to destroy or or change what Mother Nature has gave us with the fruit. So his impact wants to be very low, 2 to 5% is the maximum that he feels that he should be doing, impacting in a wine. The rest is already made by Mother Nature, like I was saying. La Manella Brunello di Montalcino Classico is aged in Tournose, about 50 hectoliter barrels, 40 to 50 hectoliter barrels. And there is also a little bit of French oak that we use. They're not barrique because they're a little bit bigger. We're about 375 liter barrels and to 450. And this is roughly the smaller oak, the French oak. We use about 20% of that for the production of Brunello La Manella. The Brunello Riserva is a 2016. Our 2016 is a very young Brunello for Riserva, but we feel that this is it's a great vintage. We only produce our Riserva in exceptional vintages. If the vintage is not absolutely a 5-star vintage, we will not produce it. We'll use the grapes that we would normally produce our Brunello Riserva. We would blend them with the La Manella to create a even better Classico Brunello. So it's a very big feast for us when we get to produce a Brunello Riserva. Just to give you an idea, the last past vintages were 2010, 2012, 2015, 2016. So it's not a wine that we produce every year. The family, Cortonesi, have been producing Brunello for 3 generations, and Tommaso is really has taken the winery to very important levels as far as getting the winery known with the press and out there in the market. Obviously, the majority of our wines are sold on premise because we like to be present in the best Italian restaurants and wine lists throughout the world, and in the best wine shops. We don't have huge quantities that we can be in big chains.
Giuseppe, thank you very much for your exposition. I really completely agree with your point that at this 3rd generation with Tommaso is bringing Cortonesi, I think, at some level really, really high. Again, now we just went out also with 2018 vintages, and I think was one of the most interesting expression realized in Montalcino. Thank you very much. If there are questions for you, I will be happy to write it down. Our professionals are still tasting, and absolutely they know mostly of them the project, Tommaso and Cortonesi estate. Just moving ahead, thank you very much again, Giuseppe, for your time. Just moving ahead, we are going to go to the next producers in Montalcino, and we are going to do something really, really interesting and important also for me. We are really close by the 2 wineries, and we are tasting again both in comparison the 2017 and 2016 Riserva from Livio Sassetti. There is Sabina connected with us. Just to say something more, Sabina, about the Livio Sassetti and the 16 hectares of vineyards in the northern part of Montalcino. We can add that Lorenzo is maybe one of the craziest winemaker in Montalcino. You just finished the vintage, the harvest in 2022. Just quickly, you want to tell us more, when did you finish to harvest the 2022?
No, well, we finished a couple of weeks ago because we already prepared skins and juice. We actually started today. But I think it was the very last one this year harvesting.
The last one.
But it's one of his main feature. He always waits to be the last. And if it's not, oh my God. You know, just because it is like that white flatness is basic for each idea. Because, you know, he loves wines to be very smooth, with very gentle tannins. And if you really want to achieve this result, then you really need to harvest when when the grape is ripe. So many times you really risk, because, you know, other colleagues, they're like, oh, well, that's time to really to take the grapes out because it may rain, you know, maybe super humid, so we better not risk. And my husband is always about, oh, no, we really have to risk. Otherwise, I'm not really going to get the result I want to have. So that's what happens every year pretty much.
Sabina,
So
just a point, sorry. I think it's not perfect your audio or microphone.
Okay, let me check.
Do you have the chance to maybe...
The maximum?
I don't know about you, maybe in Sofia Wine Bar they can hear better, but on the virtual tasting with all together connected on Zoom is a little bit noisy, not really perfect and clean. If it will be not really hard for you, just, you know, try to remove this earphone or no.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I can do that.
Maybe if you can, let's try it. And no, now it's worse. Now we completely lost. We lost you. No, just let's give 2 minutes to Sabina. Maybe we can make this effort to better understand her voice, or I will ask her to be a little bit more louder. Sabina, I'm sorry, I did worse maybe because now we cannot. Okay, now yes.
Oh, adesso?
Yes. Un pochino bassa. It's just a little bit low. If you can be louder.
And yeah, I can try.
Bye.
Now, what do you think?
A little bit better, let's say.
And now I'm trying. I think I got to the maximum.
Let me ask. It's okay for everyone. Charles, can you hear Sabina? Yes, you can hear her. Okay.
Oh,
Maybe
okay,
just
good.
me.
Maybe just you.
Okay.
You know, I'm sorry.
Vai, Sabina, I'm sorry. So
Yeah,
we are
if you
going
really-
to taste 2 wines side by side, the 17 and the Riserva 16.
Yes, we have 2 wines. The 17 is the classical release, while the 26 Riserva, of course, is a Riserva, and two very different vintages. 17, which is the first wine you're going to taste, was a very challenging vintage for us. You know, where everything worse happened. We had a very bad freeze in April, and before the freeze, we had such a warm winter, like February and March. It was super warm, sun shining, and really the nature was blooming, and all the gems were in the plant. And then we have at the beginning of April a very bad freezing, especially where we are in the northern part of Montacino, in the same area of La Mannella, Montosoli. You know, it's usually a little colder, and so it's really it really caused us huge damage, and most of the gems died. And we were able to bring in the cellar probably half the crop on that vintage. Then it was a very dry season, but usually when it's very dry, it's not really so bad for us because it's a very humid area, a very wet soil, mainly made of clay. So usually we have, it's very, very occasionally our plants are very thirsty. But when it's cold, you know, it's really the worst for us. For this reason, we change a little bit the pruning style. Now we're pruning 1 month after, so that in case if it's gonna freeze down in March or April, we have no gems yet. So usually it's not really creating a big damage. So in our case, we didn't complain about the quality of the vintage, even if it's 17 is not really the wine we're gonna keep forever, but we are quite satisfied about the quality. Surely the Cando Brunello that we can very easily open and enjoy. I would say not really need to wait for 10 years before having smooth and round tannins, but if you're trying the wine, so if you have the chance to sip that, you will see that it's already very smooth. So we always say that's perfect for restaurant business because people do not really have to wait for this long. Instead, 16 is very different. I mean, 16 is one of the best vintages that we have in the last decades. It was a great vintage suddenly after 15. My husband always say that 15 is the best harvest he's ever seen, and he's 55, he's always been living in Torimali. So, you know, I think if you say that it was really the best one, it was probably the best one. But 16 was less powerful, but much more elegant. And we think that, I mean, we really have a great harvest in 16. And both wines, the regular vintage and also the Reserva, are really probably the best expressions of our, I mean, Sangiovese. And it's really, this vintage really complies with the philosophy that we have at Cardinale. We are much more on the elegant side rather than on the powerful one. Because my husband Lorenzo is the winemaker. He really loves wines that are, I mean, refined, elegant, you know, perfume, and really approachable. He really loves the idea of a wine that you can keep for a long time, but that you can enjoy also very quickly, being, I mean, still satisfied. And I think that 16 has all these characteristics. The Reserva is super young, but I think already very pleasant. I mean, you will not really complain, I mean, sipping this wine. And Reserva for us is very special because it's not made every year, but only on the very best vintages. And we usually make a very small production. It's never more than 5,000 bottles per vintage. And we make actually a vineyard selection because Cardinale is a huge, big single plot of land, I mean, around the farmhouse, and it's so located in the Mondosoli Hill, which is an area which has the same for La Manella. It's an area which is really made to give us wine that are very elegant, very fine, and usually destined to last for a very long time.
Sabina, can you give us a spoiler? I just tasted a beautiful Mulino.
Oh,
Why
yeah.
is born? What is? Can you tell us more? It's the first vintage of Mulino, right?
No, this is
No.
not. The first release was 2015.
Okay.
2015. And well, I really have to be super honest with you. It's just that everybody around is making cru. And for us, it is very difficult to make a cru because Cardinale is a unique block of land. So there are not really too many differences between one vineyard or another. But we have one specific vineyard right at the top of the property that is super rich in shells. That if you can, well, if you have the chance, just if you when you come and visit us, just really walking in the field, you will see shells this big. So it's really super rich in fossil with a super high minerality. And the name Mulino is just because that vineyard is called La Vigna del Mulino dei Diavoli, that in English sounds like the vineyard of the mill of the evils. And I was super scared, but evils, Diavoli was the surname of the family owning the mill close by. So, it's a very simple name, but that's why we decided to call that in Mulino, because originally, by the time Livio was making wine there, it used to be called the vineyard of the Mulino dei Diavoli. So that's why. And it's a very small production. For the moment, we released 15, 18. We're gonna have also 19 and 20. I also had a Mulino 16 that I decided to declassify back to regular vintage because the request of 16 was super high. That I decided to sacrifice the 3,000 bottles I made on Mulino to regular Brunello.
But you are keeping in cellar or you went out on the market?
No. We didn't really, I didn't release at all the 16 on the market. But it was really, it was scheduled to be done. But then, for example, now we are having 18, but we're thinking about producing Mulino every year, unless it's not a very difficult, let's say, vintage that doesn't give us, the right fruit to make a selection. I think we're gonna make that. It's a very small production, 3,000 bottles, and I think we are not fully have a huge interest in making a huge production of this, but it's just also for my husband idea to try to experiment, to make a certain, fermentation, and to see, you try the wine, so you see, even if it's, the same plot, there still are, there is a difference.
Quite different. It's
Yeah.
going to be available even if it's a really small production.
It is.
Okay.
It is.
Okay.
It is.
So check check it out. There is a Mulino. This actually, it was a new wine for me, just discovered. Just to say some words more about Livio Sassetti, I had the pleasure to found these wineries, to go to visit them and taste the wines during the years. And it's going really well. Sabina, also when we just came back from Naples city, and there are lots of messages saying, if there is the opportunity to make something together, because Sassetti is always so gentle in the profile and too tasty, but there is something more. If you want to read it like a complex wine, it's actually really, really complex. The 17 was, according to me, one of the best expression we had. And the 16 is absolutely like a reference for the next 20, 25 years, maybe.
We are very, my husband is always very satisfied about his wine. He always say, one of the things why he makes such good wines is because he always waits before harvesting. And you know that, he always keep on telling that, so the old world know that. But it is true, this is one of our characteristics.
Yeah. Right. Sabina, thank you very much for being with us. If there is some question for you, I will be happy to share you as soon as possible. Sure. We are going to be in track on our tasting session, on this virtual tasting. So the next producers should be La Rasina. To be honest, I didn't see yet Jens, but maybe
I'm right here.
Hi, Jens. Have you been here or just arrived? You need to be honest.
I was waiting in the background.
Okay. Happy to see you back. And thank you very much for being with us. Nafi, it's up to you to tell us more about this incredible selection that Marco Mantengoli is making in the northeast part of Montalcino with these 15 hectares. All of them are Sangiovese. And the two wines that we are going to taste are, of course, both Brunello di Montalcino. Brunello di Montalcino 17 and Brunello di Montalcino Persante 17.
Yes, thank you for the introduction, Rafa. It's always a pleasure being back here with you guys. Ciao, everybody. What you mentioned initially is probably the most important part about La Rasina. It's now 15 hectares of vineyard land. But the origin is a modest family-run estate. When Marco, at the tender age of 19, took over the estate, it was only 3.5 hectares. And to grow an estate at the value that the Brunello vineyards are handed now, from 3.5 to 15 hectares by itself is an achievement over only 20 years. So this is a very serious farming setup, obviously organic, certified, in the spirit of a young operation, but very high, pristine and quality oriented approach to it. Marco right now is in the end of the vinification, starting to think about the olive. So that's why I'm sitting here. I have taken now for over 25 years care for all the sales to the US and to most part of the world for La Rasina. And 17 was a challenging vintage. You have heard that maybe already. It was a hot vintage, and therefore protecting the grapes and keeping the bunches healthy was the biggest challenge for every vintner in 17. And Marco did an excellent job. When I lived this summer, I remember 17, I said, now this cannot turn out into anything. It is just far too hot. But in the end, the farming techniques that he applied helped keep freshness. We weren't picking leaves as normally. There was a lot more shading going on. Looked actually a little bit more wild vineyards in 17 in order to achieve that, and not have the, the soil evaporate too much. We managed at a medium high altitude at Montalcino to keep the grapes healthy. And I was surprised actually when we finally came up with a final version of the Brunello 17. They had much more freshness and much more expressive qualities to them that I ever expected just by living the summer of 17 again. The Brunello is our main wine. We're producing about 30,000, 35,000 bottles of it per year. And it is vinified in a style that expresses that freshness and that is underlining the aromatic qualities of the northeastern part of this happy triangle on the Torrenieri side. So we have, I think, the opportunity with La Rosina to describe a style that is particularly correct on the varietal expression, on the aromatic expression of Sangiovese in general. And that is because La Rosina doesn't own vineyards in other parts outside their home grounds, as a very precise expression that I think over the years we can trace back and always say, hey, this is tasting like La Rosina. We get more closer to this objective. What else are we working on? We're working on trying to go beyond the appellation regulations. We have understood that these wines can carry incredible importance, and if released too young or rushed too much out the door, that they lose some of those qualities. So for us, time and slowing down has over the last 5 years become the motto in the winery. We really, in terms of harvest time, in terms of vinification, everything is happening a lot slower. And also, the timing when we put the wine in the bottle, the amount of time that it spends in bottle before we release it to the market. So all wines are destined to see the market in the future always a little later than maybe the competition. This is already true for our reserver that we've just in the next month we'll be releasing the Reserva 16. It's not on the market yet. The Persante is our selection version, will be released 6 months later than officially by regulation standards. And time is an important part now of our production. That is a philosophy that imprimes every single step of what we are thinking and what we're doing right now at La Rosina. Persante is not a vineyard, it's a grape selection of all vineyards. We let the best bunches hang and come back to them at 3-4 days later. We do a second harvest on those vineyards, and those then are started off in stainless steel, but the alcoholic fermentation actually finished then in upright wooden fermenters. So they're the tronco conico, known in Italian, and we keep the wine in there, finish fermentation, finish malolactic, and we also do the aging of the wine in the tronco conico, in the upright wooden fermenters. And that gives it, is one part of slowing down. It slows the wine down. The Persante is always a little darker, a little bit more spicy, but also slower in its evolution. It comes not out of the glass as fast, and it's benefits in my eyes from another 6 or 12 months of aging before opening. It becomes a lot silkier and a little rounder and deeper in our eyes. So we hope that this message of slowing down can be also transported to you guys, and the enjoyment of the wine is increased with a slow approach.
Yes, to be honest, this kind of slowing down, like you were saying, I can feel it more now today in Persante. We had the opportunity to taste it also in April during another virtual tasting. Now maybe I can read more what you want to do, because it's strange that you say, it's just we calm down, we do everything slowing, but the wine, it were really compressed. They needed time to arrive to yourself. It's actually today I can find the Persante with an impressive energy. I really know because I'm always in touch with most of the professional during our virtual tasting and still connected. They love La Rasina profile. And actually, I want to add also my impression, you know, during the tasting, I'm actually, now we are all together connected. We are making like kind of PR. We are talking and making exposition on the different projects and wines, but I'm always alone. I just taste wines, tons of the wines in tasting room. So I'm always like alone with the music. And it's the third year that I taste the wines. I can recognize La Rasina and start, I mean, to dance alone, because it's something that touch you for the precision of the wines, the intensity and the spiciness. I found La Rasina one of the most spiciest wine that we have in Montalcino, but you know what I mean, without to be covering by the oak or by something that is not balanced. It's just something that came out in the glasses, because you know where do you want to arrive. And this is actually the project of Marco that make me always happy to taste these wines. Now we just tasted 2018, and if it's possible, maybe it's going to be even better of 17, which is solid, really interesting, but 18 is much more polyhedric and really, really deep in different aspects. There was maybe some rain in the end before to harvest, but it's not a big problem if you make a great selection. And I'm sure the professional today connected, they will know. Thank you very much, Jens. I will leave it to you. So if there is, I'm seeing some news on chat, I will be happy to text you. Happy
Okay,
to see
thank
you
you,
again.
everybody.
Bye, Jens. So some words more. I mean, tasting again. Now we had 2017 together. The first one is so balanced and precise, but the second one has this personality, this tension, this kind of dark profile, which gave you the opportunity to think more about how complex can be also a really hard vintage for the producers. So this actually touched me in a good sense and give me the opportunity to say, well, I would like also to see these wines in the next 5, 8, 10 years, because they are for sure well structured, well balanced, and as we said, well done. Thank you once again, Jens. The next project, we are still in Montalcino, but now we are going south part. There is still connected with us. Thank you very much to wait a little bit more, Lisa. There is Lisa Tinturini. I think she just came back. It's a lot of time I don't see you. And I'm so happy to see you again here for this virtual tasting. I'm sure you know some of our professional connected, but I would like to remind you, everybody, that we are connected in different parts. We are in New York, in Sofia Wine Bar, with the tasting in presence, with the real bottle and the big bottle. And we are also connected in Miami with a bunch of professionals that had the opportunity to taste the wines in a small bottle. They are the Vinot made in France. Lisa, it's up to you to better explain the project of La Magia in the next 10 minutes.
Okay, so it's a pleasure to see you again, Raffaele. Of course, thank you for your introduction, and hello everyone. Thank you for coming. I'm Lisa Tinturini. I'm not related with the family that is owning La Magia. I'm the export manager for the North American market. And so about La Magia, as Raffaele say, we are located in the southeast part of Montalcino. We are one of the highest wineries in terms of altitude. We start from 420 meters above on the sea level, and we go up in the vineyard. La Magia is one of the historical wineries in Montalcino, because when we start, wineries were only 20, and we talk about 1974. That's the year when the vineyards have been planted, and that's the year when La Magia was born by the Schwartz family. I know that Schwartz doesn't sound very Italian to you, but actually the family is from Südtirol, Alto Adige, that's the northern part of Italy. And now the owner and the winemaker is Fabian Schwartz. So it's the third generation that's keep going on that. La Magia has only one single unique plot that is 15 hectares. It's all Sangiovese and it's all Brunello certificated. So that means that even the Rosso, the first wine you will taste, is made with the Brunello grapes, just in two different styles. For the Rosso, Fabian is looking for a completely different wine than Brunello. So you want something more easy drinking, more, let's say, everyday wine. So for that reason, we make very short maceration. So I mean about 10 days. And then we leave in the used French tonneau barrels for 8 months. And that's it. So very easy, and let's say, you know, the used barrels give less impact of wood on the wine. So it's more fresh, more easy drinking wine. Brunello is different because Brunello, we have about 40 days of maceration. And after that, we have 3 years aging in French tonneau. 30% are new barrels, and the rest is second passage French oak barrels. This is because even in this case, we don't want to cover the identity of the wine. You have to feel the differences vintage by vintage and recognize what is. When I mean identity, for example, let's talk about a 17. As my colleague in Montalcino says, 17 was a pretty challenging vintage, was actually one of the warmest ever. Just to give you an idea about La Magia, we usually start harvest on the last week of September, sometimes first week of October. In 17, the harvest starts in August 31. So it was actually 1 month almost before than usual. What for us is, of course, great is that with the altitude, we can keep the freshness. So I would say that the only problem with 17 in our case was the quantity, because when you don't have so much rain and very warm and dry weather, the grapes doesn't have the good balance to be more, to give us more quantity and to be bigger than how we expect. I don't know. I think I try to be faster, so probably
you've been, and you were really honest. I mean, because the 2021 from the Rosso, you can understand how concentrated it is. Now we are talking about another project. There is another vision, way different to harvest the grapes. But what I really liked is also this kind of soft and gentle hand. Fabian, the winemaker and owner in La Magia, has always this touch. Is about territory, yes. It's about the soil, because I want to remember you have an amazing project called Ciliegio. It's really a tiny parcel of Montalcino wine, so Sangiovese, that you harvest more or less in the same period, but it's like a small parcel, which is one of the most amazing selection that we have in Montalcino. Last year, for example, with 2017, according to us, was the best wines we tasted, with another big name. I don't want to make publicity today. And yes, but it's really a huge expression. And I want to say, yes, it's about territory, terroir, everything we like to heard, but there is an amazing touch of Fabian in cellar. I really love the quality of the wood and the oak he chose every year. I love the tonnellerie with who he likes to work. And we can say there is the classicism of Montalcino, but there is this kind of creamy texture that give you your identity, your profile. sometimes, you know, you work a lot also with the tonneau, which is not so a big cask. But wines, you can feel it already drinkable from the beginning, but you can keep it for 15 and 20 years, even more in cellar. I had the pleasure with you and Fabian to taste also some old vintages, so I'm pretty sure of what we are saying. I know also, Lisa, there are some, your referent in US connected, should be there Emiliano and Gabe, and I will be, I mean, happy if they want to keep tasting the wines with our professional. They can join the room for a small lunch that we organize also later with our professional. Thank you very much for being with us. If there are questions for you, I will be happy to share you soon. I mean, maybe let's keep just 2 minutes if we can hear something about the tasting room. How is going? What are you understanding of this virtual tasting? Are you enjoying the moment? The wines are in good shape. I mean, because we are tasting still with small bottles here, and there is also Miami City connected, but you guys finally received the big bottles. So it's a kind of tasting in presence. And if there is Leonardo or Alessandra and Federico can give us some opinion of what is going, I would be really happy. I think it's closed the microphone. Maybe I can see. Ecco, Leo. Do you have the chance to open the microphone? I can see Federico. I don't want to make it difficult. I want just to be sure everything is going well, smooth and under control. Now,
ragazzi, complimenti.
Ecco, I like the Italian voice.
It's beautiful actually to have a chance to retaste 2017 vintage. That's been the vintage. Yes, super challenging, but is impressive. Of many producers could show that in challenging years the wine are still fresh, vibrant. There is not so much raisins into them. And pretty much the entire group of tasters here have the same feedback that 17 might not be by the critic the best vintage out there, but for whatever you guys did, they're pretty solid. The wine are showing good vibrant acidity. They are not too raisiny overripe.
No.
There is structure there, which we like. Our wine are what we call in the restaurant industry are more approachable now, young. So you don't need to wait multiple years to have this ready Brunello.
Okay, Leo. If there are questions for La Magia Winery, I remember you had the chance already to taste during our webinar. So we are talking about 2 years ago. But you know, the wines I thought they are keep growing in the quality, in the finesse, in the precision of what they are doing. The landscape is absolutely one of the most amazing we have in Montalcino. And this project is led by young people. And I think they can really give it to you, passing in the glass and giving you the idea of what it feels for them, Montalcino. I want to remember, you know, you are in New York. It's a city that is alive. But these people chose to live in Montalcino because there is this passion and this project that they want to bring ahead. And they want to show you today with the 2021 vintage, really young for a Rosso di Montalcino. It was just bottled before to arrive it to you. And then with 17, that I'm happy you had these good words about the vintages. So once thank again, Leo, we are going to taste the last wineries and the last project is Argiano. So we are still I would like to say you bye also to Lisa. Thank you, Lisa, for being with us.
Thank
See
you,
you in
Raffaele.
Montalcino.
Thank you, everyone.
See you. And there is connected with us Riccardo Boggi, is a kind of you know, a reference now in our virtual tasting. I'm so happy to see you again, even if just through a screen. Riccardo, how are you? Just give us more details about Argiano, like we always do, with 4 or 5 minutes about the history, about the position of Argiano, and of course about the vintages we are going to taste today. There is a Brunello di Montalcino, and then there is the beautiful Solengo. You know, I cannot hear you, Riccardo, actually. So,
can you?
Yes, now it's perfect.
Hear me?
Yes.
Okay, sorry. Raffaele, hi everybody, and sorry for the technical problem, but thank you for this opportunity. It's always nice to, you know, try and taste, but also have this debate with other producers from all around Italy. So about Montalcino, maybe some of you don't know the winery. I want to say that we are in the southwest of Montalcino, not far from the sea, and the history of Argiano goes back to about 500 years ago. So we were at the very border of the Republic of Siena. We had to control the borders when, especially because Florence was trying to conquer the Republic of Siena. They did that in the 16th century, and we were starting to live in a very peaceful time of the year for the lands. So the Pecci family, owners of the area, decided to build Villa Bellaria, which is the headquarters of our estate, and it still remains as it is. So we have been restored. We have been trying to bring it back to the former glory. And right now in Argiano, we're trying to respect the identity, the balance, the tradition. We are in an all organic farming. We are trying to be sustainable, not using fertilizers, not using pesticides. And now is very important, especially because we have a climate change. We have to have very strong vines, able to explore the soil deep with their roots, getting micronutrients, getting water, especially from our clay soils. We have made a research about the soils that we have. Is a beautiful mix, and this is Montalcino. Montalcino is beautiful because it's very diversified. We have clay, marl, limestone, schist soil, silt, magmatic soil from the Mount Amiata, and we have done this research in order to really understand what we have under our feet. So we are tasting 2 wines. We have the Brunello 2017, we have Solengo 2019, and these are very different wines. Argiano is in a single parcel. We don't have vineyards spread around in different areas. And just to let you know, from the north side to the south of Argiano, it takes 5 minutes with a tractor. So it's kind of a small place. On this beautiful plateau, we have a lot of influence from the sea, sea breezes, not a lot of humidity. We are about 300 meters above the sea level. For these 2 wines, we have different approach. Brunello di Montalcino 2017 was indeed the most challenging vintage that we have ever seen. It has been very dry, very hot, especially in the month of August as well as July. We have reached more than 40 degrees Celsius in the vineyards. So we had to really protect the vines and the grapes from the heat, from the drought. What we have done is we have avoided to do green harvest. We didn't want to concentrate to match the grapes. We have left as much leaves as possible in front of the grapes to act like shields to protect the grapes from the sun. We have used the kaolin clay mixed with water and spread around the vineyards. This is basically a very white clay that acts like a sunscreen against the sun rays, and also helps to avoid too much evaporation from the plants. So we have done the harvest very early. We have started to harvest at the beginning of September. We knew that we had a good ratio between sugars and acidity. Our goal is to always maintain very fresh Brunellos. We do not like to have overripe fruits. That's why it's important for us to preserve minerality, to preserve nice fruits, but never to have genuine wines. The problem in the 17 were the tannins. They were very green and harsh. So what we had to do is to oxygenate a lot the wine during the vinification. We have done also kind of a short aging in the big oak barrels. For our Sangiovese, we only use barrels from 2,000 to 5,000 liters, Slavonic oak mostly. So we have the wine for only about 26 months. We usually keep our Brunello for 30, 32 months. So we wanted to limit the influence of oak into this wine. 2017, I believe that is a vintage that is getting ready faster than other strong vintage like the 15 or the 16. It's not going to have a huge and long aging potential like other more, I would say, solid vintages. But also we have produced about 35% less in volumes. The thing is, we need to respect what we try to do. And with the 17, we wanted to have a fresh Brunello despite the hot vintage. But again, we have these tropical fruits. We have more evolution in the glass. I found that we already have some tertiary notes, a little bit of mushrooms that makes this wine easy to approach when it's young. Maybe you cannot keep it for 30 years, but I'm sure that in the next 15, 20 years, the wine will remain solid. And the second wine is the Solengo. The history of Solengo goes back to the late 80s. We started to have a collaboration with the winemaker Giacomo Takis, father of many great wines from Italy, from the north to the south of Italy. He arrived to Argiano and he literally asked us, hey, you are an historical producer. Do you want to be provocative? Do you want to do something different? And we say, yes, of course. What do you recommend? And he suggested to plant Cabernet Sauvignon, Petit Verdot, and Merlot. Some friends, some colleagues from other wineries say that we were crazy. They say, well, Montalcino is basically Sangiovese. And we say, yes, but give us a few years and we are going to show you what we can do. The Solengo was born with the first vintage 1995, one of the first super Tuscans in the area. It usually has a strong quantity, percentage of Cabernet Sauvignon. For this vintage, we have up to 50%. Then we have a lot of Petit Verdot, about 25%. Petit Verdot really needs hot climates to really develop and being more complex, more elegant. When it doesn't ripe very well, it is a little bit aggressive, especially on the tannin side and on the flavors. And then we have 20% of Merlot and just 5% of Sangiovese. All these varietals are vinified separately, and then we age them, this time in barriques. We use less and less new oak, especially because if the fruit is ripe enough and healthy, we don't have to cover it too much with the new oak. So about 60% is new oak, 40% is second passage barriques, medium toasted, and the Solengo, which means lonely wild boar, is a word used by the hunters. It's, yes, kind of an aggressive wine when it's young, but at the same time, we want to have the elegance, we want to have the aging potential, and this is totally the opposite of the Brunello. Brunello is tradition. Brunello is what the vineyards can give us. Solengo is a fun wine because we have to work more in the cellar. We have to try different percentages of the varietals. So we also have fun when we make it. And every vintage is slightly different in terms of blends. We try to reach the perfection. We will never be able to reach the perfection on this wine, but we have to aim for it. We have to aim for a wine that's at the same time elegant, strong, bold, but also elegant. Solengo for us is a wine that together with the Brunello really represents Argiano, especially in the last years when we have worked really well, to me, to have clean wines, to have wines that can respect the area of production, respect Montalcino. And something else I want to say is that Montalcino is having a great moment in the last years. And this is thanks to the collaboration and the discussions that we have with all the producers. We have to talk about how to do the right interpretation of a vintage. We have to talk about climate change, how the Sangiovese can react to this climate. And it's thanks to the community. Montalcino is not made by one single winery, it's made by a community. And this, I think, is what makes this appellation beautiful. So it's fun to be here. It's fun to taste wines like this, wines from many colleagues. And Raffaele, tell me what you think. I maybe told too much.
What says? We were just perfect in your exposition. I love the way how you talk about Argiano Estate, the philosophy, the project, the identity of the wines. The Brunello today is actually one of the more than chewy in the tannins. It will need a little bit of time to soften, but you can feel it, you know what you want it to do. So you just get the perception of the vintage and you love it to understand how to do best. Actually, you can feel it. There is not scary to avoid the extraction. It's just, you know, your idea to go through to understand how to manage the wines. And I love it that you say, you pointed out. So it's about to go with oxidation on the wines, on the tannins, because you want to keep them a little bit more gentle. Because you found it, that actually, you know, there was this kind of different harvest, this kind of hard harvest on the tannic profile. You manage it, and that's great for an amazing producer such as Argiano. Solengo, today we are tasting something completely different of everything what we tasted. It's interesting also for me to hear again about the 25% of Pinot Petit Verdot. Is actually quite a lot. It's not easy to manage. And again, what I really like is your way to see the life and to try to improve and to try to make it also difficult. I mean, you can make a great wines like you already are doing in Argiano with Vigna del Suolo, but it's keep challenging you. So Argiano is there to be a reference because they go ahead in the difficult part of the vintages. They go ahead with a Solengo, which was provocative at that time, but today is so harmonic and balanced that people cannot see. I mean, that is provocative. Make a Bordeaux blend in Montalcino area. You can make it. Maybe you know what I mean. There are not a lot of producers can make it, but Solengo is just a rare wine, and we are really happy to taste it together with a 2019 vintage, which is just incredible. A question in that part, if I can, on Solengo. How many bottles you produced in 2019 and 2020, just to have a comparison and idea?
2019, we have produced about 30,000 bottles. 2020 was a little bit less. It was quite a warm vintage, so we have used a little bit less Merlot, and to maintain the balance, we had to also reduce a little bit the quantity of Cabernet and Petit Verdot. So basically, on the 2020, there is another beautiful vintage, but I think it's more similar to the 2015 in terms of weather condition and results. We have produced about 28,000 bottles.
Is going the people to be, you know, splitted into the tasting of 2019 and 2020? What do you think? It's kind of 15 and 16 that is going to be repeated again?
I think so. I always say is, if you have the chance, what would you prefer to drive, a Ferrari or a Lamborghini? And I think that is a matter of choice. I think that the 2020 is a little bit more solid and strong. 2019 is extremely elegant, but we talk about two beautiful, beautiful vintages.
That's great. Thank you very much, Riccardo. I hope there are some questions from our professional in Sofia Wine Bar. This is the end. This is the last producers we are tasting. Did you have the chance already to taste the Solengo 2019? In the meantime, that they try to open the microphone also to say bye. I would like also ask to Charles. It's still connected with us. I'm really happy. Charles Cicolone. Charles, how was the tasting? Just give us some of your opinion. You should just open the microphone, or I mean, I send it to you the notification. Not yet.
Unmute. What about now?
Yes.
Okay. I thought it was very interesting, and ordinarily I don't like to taste from small bottles. However, I thought that the samples, I tasted them yesterday, was showing very well. I have a particularly love for Caracanti, and I thought that wine was very good. But overall, I think the wines, I have really can't say anything bad about any of the wines. I see there's a lot of Tourneau being used now in Montalcino, and I wasn't if that was going to be something which is you know, a new kind of and getting away so much from the Botte and using a little bit more of the Tourneau. I was just wondering if that was something that's going to happen. I'm a big fan of Botte myself.
Okay, of Botte. Okay, I can understand. Maybe in this selection, to be honest, yes, we went more of a strong pattern profile of Montalcino, even because maybe in the 17, you needed to show a little bit more the muscle. You can feel it like sometimes the vintage needed a little bit more of the time to soften. We used to say it's a drinkable one. But if you think about, there was also this kind of polyphenolic that sometimes can be green that you need in enologically talking to avoid going out. So this is an important point that you are saying, Charles. I think maybe yes. But there is a different way, I think, to show the classicism of the territory. So there is not just a reference of maybe one of the classic name that we can do it is no publicity, such as Biondi Santi, but it's a different way to arrive in wine direction, making a good and thin wines, even a little bit more structured, no, more with more tension.
No, I understand this, but also I feel that someone pointed out, Brunello was an approachable wine, is not something that I think they have Rosso di Montalcino for approachable wine. Therefore, Brunello should be and remain a wine which is big, which takes time. And I think Brunello is one of the few times that actually wines that picks up body as it gets older. And therefore, why are you trying to make some people an approachable Brunello when you have the Rosso? It just, I don't understand it.
They're making actually a great job also on the Rosso because maybe they found it, what you are saying. They are investing a lot. They are making a selection on Rosso di Montalcino. So it's actually really interesting. And it's actual point to discuss also when I will be again there soon with the producers to taste the new vintages. We just tasted the 2018. We went out with report, but later we will be really happy also to taste something from the big botte, if there are people making wines in big botte or just in a smaller cask. Thank you very much, Charles, to be with us.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me. Remember, I've been drinking Italian wine since 1970, and I have an old palate. I like old wines.
Oh, that's
Thank
great.
you very much. It's a pleasure.
That's great. See you soon, Charles. I would like just to close. I'm receiving some messages from Miami Professional that we had. Some of them also with closed camera, but they are still here with us. I mean, I would like to be connected 2 minutes more. We are going to close with Leonardo, Federico. If there is also Mirko wants to say something, wants to say hi to Riccardo.
Ragazzi, ringraziate, ciao Riccardo. And ciao also to Charles. Charles maybe was like 6 or 7 years ago. I had the pleasure to have you here as a guest.
I remember.
Yes, was before COVID, but I hope to come back very soon to New York, also to Miami. So looking forward to meet you all.
Very good.
Well,
Leo,
ragazzi,
did you taste, Leo, the Solengo 19? Did you taste already? Or it was...
I think I think this is the second time we try it, and it's always better. And everybody looks forward to open the next bottle at lunch now, because everything is going to be revised with food. You know, we've been sitting here tasting wine for the past couple of hours. My personal compliment to Argiano for a 17 that drinks like silk. It's sometimes a pleasure to represent and pour your wine to a table. And grazie, Raf, to bring Tuscany to New York, but we want to see you in person now.
We will. Just went out. I will be on the schedule soon. Hey, hi, Ale. Nice to see you back. Nothing. If there are questions, guys, just write me and send us picture because we need to share with the producers. Thank you very much for your time and enjoy the moment at your lunch. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Ciao, Raffaele. Ciao.
Ciao Stefano, grazie.
Ciao a tutti. Ciao.
Ciao, ti scrivo.
Ciao.
Riccardo, grazie ancora. Thank you very much.
Ciao Raffaele.
Ci vediamo presto. Ciao Giuseppe. Buon
Ciao.
ritorno. Ciao.
Ciao, a presto.
Bye. Ciao Charles. Nice to see
Ciao.
you.